Hey everybody, and welcome to Leadershipisation, all things leadership. My name is Beth Bergen and I'm a global leadership and communication coach. And I am here live most Tuesdays at 1 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. Self-awareness. It's something that's come up a real lot in all of the leadershipisation sessions that I've done. And it's a common thing. We talk about it all the time. Everyone acts as though they know what self-awareness is, but maybe they don't. Maybe you don't. Some of us are actually in tune with our bodies and our minds and our awareness, and others simply are. So self-awareness is much more than just the foods you like, or the books that you prefer to read, or the movies you want to watch, or the sport that you enjoy. It's much deeper than that. It's about those emotions. It's about your reactions. It's about you taking an objective viewpoint of your strengths and your weaknesses. And it's about you being aware of who you are, warts and all. So today what I figured that I would do is look at 7 key things for you to consider so that you can actually build your self-awareness. Yeah? The first one is this. You and your emotions are getting friendly with each other. Now, what do I mean by this? Well, you're not afraid. You're not afraid of experiencing those feelings, and you're recognizing that feelings are a natural part of life. And as you become more self-aware, you accept both those comfortable and those uncomfortable emotions. You learn to acknowledge your emotions rather than suppressing them. And you let yourself feel whatever they are. So you feel that sadness, that anger, that relief, that frustration, that joy. And you use those, and you use your recognition of those emotions and your labeling of those emotions. You use those for your personal growth. So what you do is you feel them, and then you move on. And that allows you to actually dig deeper to be able to identify what they are. Now, one of the things that I do with my coaching clients is we work into an emotion wheel, because quite often what we think is anger isn't anger at all. It may actually be a real sense of frustration, and that's a much higher, anger is at a much higher level than frustration would be at. Yeah. And so what I love about working with my clients with the emotion wheel is that it increases their self-awareness, because they look and they're able to label not only what the emotion is, but the depth of that emotion. And as I said before, we're able to use that then as a tool for personal growth. Okay. Number 2. Admitting that you are wrong is not the end of the world. It can be hard to acknowledge that you're wrong. But this is the beginning of your learning. It is tough to admit that you've made a mistake. Maybe it's easier to blame others. Maybe it's easier just to be pointing the finger. But the impact of doing that is that you ruin relationships, because what you're doing is you're pointing the finger at someone else, and you're actually decreasing your opportunity to build your self-awareness, because you're not looking at your own contribution to the situation. Being able to admit that you're wrong shows that you're actually thinking out there beyond your ego. When you can acknowledge, when you can embrace your fault, when you can acknowledge that you're wrong, when you can acknowledge your mistakes, your self-awareness will lift, and that means that you're opening up opportunities for growth and for improvement. Yeah? The third thing to look out for, you being able, or you enjoying rather, being authentically you. Now, sometimes, and I often have to have this conversation when I'm coaching groups, and always this is something that will come up when I'm coaching individuals. It's awesome to be authentically you. This does not mean that you can behave however you like and then explain it away by saying, oh, well, I was only being authentic. When you know who you are, when you understand your strengths, your weaknesses, and you understand where the warts are, you don't need to be competing. You don't need to be proving anything. You like who you are, warts and all. There's your self-awareness. There's no need for you to be out-storying everyone else. You know how you run groups sometimes, and what happens is that someone tells a story and then the other person's got a better story. Oh, what about the time that happened to me? You don't need to be doing that. You don't need to be setting out to be impressing others all the time, because you're comfortable with who you are. You're comfortable being authentically you. And what you understand is that embracing you, it's a huge step. And you know, you're okay with that. So if you can embrace you and you can actually be okay with that, great steps towards your self-awareness. But you know what else? Absolutely liberating, because you've given up this game playing. You don't need to prove. You don't need to compete. You don't need to be looking all the time, waiting to see how can I, trump some of these people. All right, number 4. Your past is in the past. Now, most of us in our lives, we've had some high highs, and we've probably also had some low lows. That's kind of life. The greater your self-awareness is, the easier it is for you to learn from your past, heal those wounds, and let go. Now, you don't have to have high level of self-awareness to push down and try and repress all of those negative emotions or all of those negative experiences. You don't have to have great self-awareness to do that. You just have to be really determined. I'm going to put all of that over there, and I'm going to do my level best to ignore it. Yeah? The greater your self-awareness is, the easier it is to learn from your past, to heal those wounds, and to let go. And what that means is that you're able to use those past experiences to actually shape the future. Shape the future in a positive way, because you'll know, I don't want to do that again. I've been there, I've done that. I don't want to go there again. So what do I need to be doing now so that things turn out differently? And this is all about using your past to lift you up, learning from those errors, learning from those mistakes, learning from whatever has occurred in your past, so that it lifts you up rather than holding you back. And what you'll find is that your past then provides some fuel for your future growth. Yeah? How are we going here? There's a lot that we're covering. I'm kind of just skimming over the surface of it. But, there will be opportunities. If you want to work with me, yell out and we can dig into any single one of these a whole lot deeper. Number 5. Perfection is a myth, and you get that. You get that. You understand, because you've got greater self-awareness. What you understand is that, Yep, society really wants us. Society really wants us to be in there striving for perfection. When your self-awareness is greater, what you begin to understand is that there is beauty in imperfection. And the higher your self-awareness is, the more likely you are to start looking for that beauty in imperfection. And so that's all about embracing things rather than trying to hide them. You know, for example, wrinkles on your face. You know, I can accept the fact that as I've grown older, there are more lines, more wrinkles on my face, or I can be going and getting some Botox or whatever to pump those lines up so that they're not there. Embrace things, embrace who you are. Earlier we talked about, you know, being authentically you. Embrace that, because otherwise the striving for perfectionism, it actually holds you back. It stops you from getting things done. And in the end, particularly if that perfectionism is associated to the way things look, to you know, to the outcome of the work that you're producing, over time, either you never start or it becomes procrastination. You know, I have a saying that I share with all of my coaching clients, and that's this: done is 100% better than perfect. Done is 100% better than perfect. Now, what this means is that start. You can always go back and fix something up. However, if you've never started, you're never going to get anything done. With perfectionism, think about loving you, being kind to you. Understand with self-awareness that perfection is a myth. Be kind to yourself, reflect positively on your own growth and your own lessons, and understand that you're on a journey to being all that you can be, and that perfect isn't going to happen at the click of the fingers. Yeah. Number 6, you feel empathy. You feel empathy for others. You're understanding and sharing the feelings of others and the perspective of others, and you can put yourself in their shoes. Now, why is empathy so important? Now, we'll talk a little bit more about empathy. Lots of people kind of go, I don't want to have any empathy. We'll talk about why that might be an issue for some people. Firstly, when you can demonstrate that understanding and the sharing of feelings and sharing the feelings and the perspective of other people, you're aware of your own emotions. You're aware enough of your own emotions to be able to kind of hone in on theirs. Now, for lots of people, they don't want to have empathy because they think that that means that they're agreeing with the person or that they're giving approval for whatever the behavior or whatever the belief might be. No, you don't have to agree. You don't have to give approval to empathize. My apologies. It's not that. It's not that. You empathize with the situation. You don't necessarily agree with the choices. You don't need to know the person to empathize with them. You don't need to even like the person to empathize with them. It's not about excusing people's bad behavior. It's about acknowledging that for them right now, these are their feelings and this is their perspective. Okay, now I really want to drill down on that, because what's important here is that you understand empathy is not agreeing or giving approval. It's simply being there and feeling those feelings. Now, what happens when you empathize with people is that you're much more likely to connect and to build stronger relationships. And so empathy is great for conflict resolution. What you need to do in order to develop your empathy is to notice what you're noticing and put your own beliefs to one side and just be focused on that other person, right? What do I mean by notice what you're noticing? When you're speaking, when others are speaking, notice the physical reactions that people have. Are they rolling their eyes? Are they shifting in their seat? Are they kind of going, oh no, whatever it might be, so that when you then speak to them, you can determine what exactly is it that I need to understand that they're feeling and what might their perspective be. And then you'll be able to give empathy. Okay, number 7, change. Change is inevitable. Realize that it's inevitable. Have a realization. It's like we're constantly evolving. And so you need to embrace that because it is inevitable. The greater your self-awareness is, the more likely you are to see change as an opportunity rather than a threat. And that means that you'll adapt and you'll learn. It's all about learning to welcome and to accept change. We talked about that a few weeks ago when we looked at what are the skills that you need to be learning right now that are going to keep you relevant and keep you current technology is changing really quickly. So just in summary, self-awareness is a journey. It's not something that you're starting straight away. Doesn't go from 0 to 100. Self-awareness is a journey. Always be open to learning something, because that's how you're going to understand yourself. And that's how you're going to be able to be kind to you. Recognize those strengths and weaknesses, embrace those emotions, perfection out the window, have that empathy for others, welcome change, and be authentic and keep sitting comfortably in your own skin. Keep reflecting, keep learning, keep growing. These are all tools that are in my Leadership Intelligence Toolbox. We build self-awareness as a foundational skill. And I cover this and a whole lot more in my 8-week Leadership and Communication Accelerator, which absolutely rockets your understanding of leadership and communication and enables you to build really strong foundations. You work on you. You identify where you are right now and where you would like to be, and we build your skills into that gap. I've got one of these starting really soon. So if you'd like to know more about it, please reach out. In the meantime, if you've got any questions or comments about today's topic, which is all about building your self-awareness, please put it in the platform that you're watching this on, and we'll get back to you over the next couple of days. If you're watching replay, I'd love it if you put #replay. And that way we can reach out and just connect with you and ask you about your comments. If you're interested in working with me, reach out and we'll have a conversation about whatever those options might be. In the meantime, have an awesome week. Bye now.